Secrets uncovered. Life on the stellar Harmony changed overnight. Everywhere Minho went, crew members stared, some with fear, some with curiosity, but all with a new kind of respect. The human who had been invisible before was now impossible to ignore. Bada was the reason. The Gorath stayed close to Minho always, following him through the corridors like a massive, glowing shadow. At first, crew members would run when they saw them coming. But after a few days, they started to realize the creature was not dangerous unless threatened. Children from the alien families on board began asking their parents if they could pet the big blue animal. Their parents said no, but Minho noticed them watching with interest when Bada gently nuzzled his hand, or made that deep rumbling purr when Minho scratched behind its ears. "You're breaking their entire understanding of the universe," Hyojin said one evening in the medical bay. She was checking both Minho and Bada for any health problems. They thought Gorath were mindless killing machines. They thought wrong, Minho said. He was sitting on the examination table while Bada lay on the floor, taking up most of the room. "Bada is as smart as we are. Maybe smarter in some ways." Hyojin scanned the Gorath's healed wound. "This is remarkable. Complete recovery in just 3 weeks. Their healing ability is incredible." She looked at Minho. "What was it like? On Krev 9? Terrifying at first," Minho admitted. "Then peaceful, actually. Bada protected me, brought me food. We'd sit by the fire at night and I'd talk. I think he understood most of it." Hyojin noted. "You're sure Bada is male?" "Pretty sure. The anatomy matches what little data we have on Gorath." Minho ran his hand along Bada's side. The blue lights pulsed brighter under his touch. "But more than that, I just know. The same way you know a person, we connected. The galaxy is going to lose its mind when word gets out," Hyojin said. "A human taming a Gorath? The scientists will want to study you both. The military will want to know if they can weaponize the bond. And," she paused, her expression darkening, "others will want you dead." "What do you mean?" Hyojin glanced at the closed door. "Commander Tavik has been in constant communication with Coalition Command. Encrypted channels. Something's wrong, Minho. Why did they send you to Krev 9? The research station was destroyed months ago. There was no rescue mission." Minho sat up straight. "What?" I checked the logs. "The station went dark 4 months before we arrived in orbit. Everyone knew the crew was dead. So why did Tavik send you down?" A cold feeling spread through Minho's chest. "He wanted me dead." "But why?" "I don't know. But I'm going to find out." Over the next few days, Minho began to notice strange things. Crew members he barely knew would approach him in corridors, glancing around nervously before speaking. Jiwan, a human navigator, pulled him aside one morning. "Minho, be careful. There's talk among the senior staff. They're not happy you came back." "Who's not happy?" "Commander Tavik's inner circle, mostly Velcros officers. They've been treating human crew members worse since you returned." Jiwan lowered his voice. "Some of us think there's something bigger going on. Discrimination isn't new, but this feels organized." Later that day, Dae-hyun, who worked in communications, found Minho in the engineering bay. "I've been monitoring transmissions. Commander Tavik has been using military-grade encryption for personal messages. That's against regulations. Can you break the encryption?" Minho asked. "Not without better access. But if we could get into his personal file..." Dae-hyun trailed off, looking nervous. That night, Minho couldn't sleep. He lay in his quarters with Bada curled up beside his bed. The Gorath's breathing was slow and steady, a comforting sound in the darkness, but Minho's mind raced. Why had Tavik really sent him to Krev 9? What was in those encrypted messages? And why did it feel like he had stumbled into something much bigger than simple discrimination? His communicator buzzed softly. A message from Hyojin. "Come to medical bay now, found something." Minho got dressed quietly and slipped out of his quarters. Bada started to follow, but Minho whispered, "Stay, guard." The Gorath rumbled softly but obeyed, settling back down. The corridors were dim during the night cycle. Minho reached the medical bay and found Hyojin at her computer, her face pale. "Look at this," she said, turning the screen toward him. Medical records filled the display. Minho scanned them, not understanding at first. Then he saw the pattern. Human crew members throughout the Coalition fleet showing similar symptoms. Unexplained illnesses. Accidents that seemed suspicious. Deaths that were ruled natural but had inconsistencies. "What is this?" Minho asked. "I accessed the Coalition medical database. Minho, over the past year, Human crew member mortality rates have increased by 300% compared to other species, and most of the deaths happen on ships commanded by Velcros officers. The implications hit Minho like a physical blow. They're killing us, not openly. But yes, I think so. Look at this. Hyejin pulled up another file. This is a memo from Coalition High Command. It's marked classified, but I have medical clearance to access certain files. Read this section. Minho read, his anger growing with each word. The memo discussed concerns about human integration into the Coalition. It mentioned how humans came from a death world and showed worrying adaptability and dangerous levels of innovation. It suggested that humans might pose a threat to established power structures. The final line made Minho's blood boil. Recommend limiting human expansion through administrative means. Administrative means, Minho said bitterly. They mean killing us. Not everyone in the Coalition knows, Hyejin said quickly. Most species have no idea this is happening, but there's a faction within the Velcros military, and some hardliners from other species who see humans as a threat. They've been quietly eliminating us, and Tavik is part of this. I think so. You discovering something on this ship, something about their plans or their weapons, would explain why he wanted you gone. Minho thought back to the weeks before his mission to Krev 9. He had been repairing systems all over the ship, including restricted areas. Had he seen something without realizing it? The weapons bay, Minho said suddenly. 3 weeks before Krev 9, I was fixing a coolant leak in the weapons bay. I saw new weapon systems being installed. Military grade, but nothing like I'd seen before. The energy signatures were strange, powerful. Illegal, maybe? What kind of weapons? I don't know. But when I asked about them, the security officer got angry, told me to forget what I saw and leave. I thought it was just standard security protocols. Hyejin's eyes widened. They were testing illegal weapons. If you reported what you saw, I would have ruined whatever operation they're running. So they sent me to die on Krev 9. Minho clenched his fists. We need proof. Real proof. We need access to Tavik's personal files, Hyejin said. The ones Daehyun mentioned. They'll have everything. Breaking into a commander's files is treason. So is murder. Hyejin said flatly. What Tavik and his people are doing is genocide, Minho. Slow and quiet, but genocide nonetheless. We can't let this continue. Minho looked at her, seeing the determination in her eyes. She was right. How many humans had already died? How many more would die if they did nothing? Okay, he said. Let's do it. Over the next 2 days, they planned carefully. Daehyun would create a distraction in the communications array, something that would require Commander Tavik's personal attention. While Tavik was gone, Minho would break into his quarters and access his personal computer. It was risky. If they were caught, they would be arrested, possibly executed. But doing nothing meant watching more humans die. The night they chose was quiet. Daehyun triggered his distraction perfectly. A cascade failure in the communication system that seemed accidental, but required immediate commander attention. Tavik left the bridge with Rask and several other officers. Minho waited until the corridor was clear, then approached Tavik's quarters. Bypassing the lock was easy for an engineer. He slipped inside, Bada following like a massive, glowing shadow. Stay by the door, Minho whispered. Warn me if anyone comes. Bada positioned himself by the entrance, his eyes watching the corridor through the small gap. Tavik's computer was password protected, but Minho had expected that. He pulled out a device he'd built, something that could crack most standard encryptions. It took 3 minutes, each second feeling like an hour. Finally, the computer unlocked. Minho plugged in a data chip and started copying files. There were hundreds. Communications, mission logs, weapons data, medical reports. He took everything. Then he saw a folder labeled Human Problem Final Solution. His hands shook as he opened it. Inside were plans. Detailed plans for eliminating human crew members across the Coalition fleet. Lists of names, including his own. Schedules for accidents. Communication between Velcro's commanders and other conspirators. And worst of all, orders from someone high up in the Velcros military command. This was not just Tavik. This was organized, approved, a conspiracy that reached the highest levels of power. Minho copied everything. Then he saw one more file, Krev 9 weapons testing. He opened it and felt sick. The research station on Krev 9 had not been studying the planet. They had been testing weapons on the Gorath. trying to kill them, study them, find ways to weaponize their abilities. Bada's wound had not been an accident. The researchers had hunted him. The impossible return on the stellar harmony. Chaos erupted when Minho's signal came through. That's impossible, Nim said, her compound eyes focusing on the communication station. The human should be dead. Commander Tavik stared at the screen showing Minho's brief message. His tail lashed back and forth, betraying his anger. How long has it been? 17 days, the communication officer replied. 17 days on Krev 9, Hyejin said from her station, not bothering to hide the triumph in her voice. I told you humans were survivors. Silence, Tavik snapped. He paced the bridge, his claws clicking on the floor. This complicates things. Complicates? Hyejin stood up, her eyes flashing. You mean it ruins your plan to kill him? If you don't send a shuttle now, I will report this entire incident to Coalition Command. They will want to know why you left a crew member stranded on a death world. Tavik's yellow eyes narrowed. For a moment, Hyejin thought he might attack her. Then he turned to his pilot. Send a shuttle. Retrieve the human. But only the human. If he has somehow survived, we will not risk more lives trying to save him from his own stupidity. 2 hours later, a shuttle descended through Krev 9's atmosphere. The pilot, a nervous young Cheethy named Rico, kept his hands tight on the controls. He had heard all the stories about this planet. Nothing good came from Krev 9. He found Minho's signal and landed in a clearing near the destroyed research station. Through the view screen, he saw the human standing at the edge of the jungle, waving. Stellar harmony, I have visual on the human, Rico reported. He appeared healthy? How is that possible? Just get him on board and leave. Tavik's voice crackled through the speaker. Quickly, Rico opened the shuttle door. Human, come on. We need to leave now. Minho walked toward the shuttle, but he did not run. He moved calmly, like he had all the time in the world. Rico's antennae twitched with impatience. Hurry up, Rico shouted. The Gorath could be. It's okay, Minho called back. Bada won't hurt you. Bada, what are you talking about? Who is... The jungle behind Minho exploded with movement. Rico saw a massive shape emerge from the trees, and his brain refused to process what his eyes were seeing. The Gorath, the legendary killer of Krev 9, walked calmly behind the human like a dog following its owner. No, Rico whispered. No, 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 no. The creature was even bigger than the stories claimed. Its armored hide glowed with blue and purple light, and its eyes fixed on the shuttle with clear intelligence. Rico's finger moved to the weapons control, but Minho stepped in front of the Gorath, holding up his hands. Don't, Minho shouted. Bada is with me. I'm not leaving without him. Are you insane? Rico shrieked. That thing will kill us all. No, he won't, Minho said calmly. He turned and placed his hand on the Gorath's massive head. The creature's eyes half closed, and it made a rumbling sound. Bada, sit. The Gorath sat. Rico's mind broke a little bit. He was watching a human give commands to a creature that had destroyed military units, and the creature was obeying. I need you to tell Commander Tavik that I'm coming back, Minho said. With Bada. If there's a problem, I'll stay here. Both of us will. Rico's hand shook as he activated the communicator. Commander, you need to hear this. Back on the stellar harmony, the bridge fell silent as Rico explained the situation. Nobody spoke for a full minute. This is a trick, Nim finally said. The human has lost his mind. The stress has broken him. Let me see, Tavik demanded. Rico turned the shuttle's external cameras. Every crew member on the bridge watched the screen. They saw Minho standing next to the Gorath, his hand resting casually on its armored side. The creature's blue lights pulsed gently, and it watched the shuttle with calm eyes. By the 7 stars, someone whispered. Hyejin felt tears forming in her eyes. He did it. He actually did it. Bring them both up, Hyejin said firmly. No, absolutely not, Tavik snapped. That creature is not coming on this ship. Then Minho stays on the planet, Hyejin said. And I will make sure every ship in the Coalition knows you abandoned a crew member who completed his mission. How will that look for your career, Commander? Tavik's scales changed color, a sign of extreme anger, but he knew he was trapped. Finally, he spoke. Tell the human he can bring my pet. But if that thing so much as growls wrong, we space it. The shuttle ride back to the ship was the strangest experience of Rico's life. Minho sat calmly in the passenger seat while the Gorath filled the entire cargo area. The creature was too big to fit properly, but it curled up, making itself smaller. Its blue lights dimmed to a soft glow as if trying not to be threatening. How? Rico finally asked. How did you do this? I helped him, Minho said simply. He was hurt. I fixed his wound. After that, we became friends. Friends, Rico repeated. With a Gorath. Humans are good at making friends, Minho said with a small smile. When the shuttle docked in the Stellar Harmony's main bay, what seemed like the entire crew had gathered to watch. They stood behind safety barriers, weapons drawn, all eyes fixed on the shuttle door. Tavik stood at the front, his posture rigid. Beside him was Rask, the head of security, a large Velcros warrior with scars covering his scales. He held a heavy plasma rifle pointed at the shuttle. If that creature acts aggressive, I will kill it, Rask said. Try, Minho's voice came through the speaker, and see what happens. The shuttle door opened slowly. Minho stepped out first, and the crowd murmured. He looked healthy, stronger even than when he left. His clothes were torn and dirty, but his eyes were clear and confident. Then Bada emerged. The Gorath had to crouch to fit through the door. When it stood at full height inside the shuttle bay, gasps echoed through the crowd. The creature was impossibly massive, its head nearly touching the ceiling. The blue lights on its armor pulsed, and its eyes scanned the crowd of aliens with intelligence that made many of them step back. Kill it, someone shouted. Rask raised his rifle. Bada's eyes snapped to him, and the creature's lips pulled back, showing teeth like swords. A growl vibrated through the bay, and several crew members ran. Bada, no, Minho said firmly. Sit, stay. The Gorath stopped growling. It looked at Minho, then slowly sat, exactly like a trained dog. The crowd fell silent, shock replacing fear on many faces. Minho walked toward Commander Tavik. Bada followed, its massive feet making the metal floor ring with each step. The commander's hand moved toward his weapon, but Hyejin grabbed his arm. Don't, she warned. Minho stopped a few feet away. I completed the mission, Commander. I survived Krev 9. I made contact with the dominant species, and I'm ready to write a full report. That thing is not staying on my ship, Tavik hissed. This thing has a name, Minho said, his voice hardening. His name is Bada. He is intelligent, possibly sentient, and he is under my protection. Your protection? Nim clicked forward, her mandibles working with agitation. You are a low-level engineer. You have no authority to— I have the authority of having done something no one else in the galaxy has done, Minho interrupted. I befriended a Gorath. That makes me valuable. Very valuable. And if you want me to share what I learned, you'll treat both of us with respect. The crowd murmured. Some looked angry, but others looked thoughtful. A human had tamed the untamable. What else might humans be capable of? Tavik's tail lashed furiously. But he saw the calculation in the eyes of his crew. If he acted rashly now, if he tried to harm either Minho or the Gorath, there would be consequences. The story was too big. Too many witnesses. Fine, Tavik said through gritted teeth. The creature stays. In the cargo bay, secured. Bada stays with me, Minho said. In my quarters. Or we both leave. Your quarters? Tavik's voice rose. I'm not asking, Commander, Minho said quietly. I'm telling you how this is going to work. Hyejin stepped forward and took Minho's arm. Come on, let's get you and Bada settled. You both must be exhausted. As they walked through the crowd, aliens pressed against the walls, giving the Gorath a wide space. Bada walked calmly beside Minho, its blue lights pulsing gently. The creature's tail swished back and forth, and its eyes took in everything. Behind them, Commander Tavik stood alone, his scales dark with rage. He watched the human and the beast walk away, and he knew everything had changed. Survival and the beast's death did not come. Minho opened his eyes slowly. The Gorath stood before him, close enough that he could feel the heat radiating from its massive body. Its breath washed over him, hot and smelling like copper and earth. The creature's eyes, each the size of his fist, studied him with an intelligence that made his skin prickle. Then it turned and walked away, disappearing into the jungle like a ghost. Minho stood frozen for a full minute, his legs shaking. His mind struggled to understand what had just happened. The Gorath had been right there. It could have killed him in a second. Why had it left him alive? The sun was setting, turning the sky purple and orange. Minho knew he needed shelter. The jungle at night would be even more dangerous. He moved through the wreckage of the research station, looking for anything useful. In what remained of the storage room, he found supplies. Food packets, water purifiers, and tools. The aliens who worked here had prepared for a long stay. They just had not prepared for the Gorath. Using metal panels from the destroyed walls, Minho built a small shelter against a large rock formation. It was not much, but it would keep the rain off and hide him from things hunting in the dark. He started a small fire using a power cell from the station, the flames casting dancing shadows. As darkness fell, the jungle came alive with sounds. Roars and screams echoed through the trees. Things moved in the shadows just beyond his firelight. Minho sat with his back against the rock, a makeshift spear in his hands, knowing it would be useless against anything that really wanted to kill him. Sleep was impossible. Every sound made him jump. Every shadow looked like death approaching. But the night passed, and when dawn broke, Minho was still alive. The next days fell into a pattern. He explored the area around the station, gathering supplies and learning the jungle. He found fruits that his scanner said were safe to eat. He discovered a stream with clean water. He built better tools from the wreckage, using his engineering skills to create things that might help him survive. But always, he felt watched. Sometimes he would see movement in the trees. A flash of blue light. A shadow too large to be anything but the Gorath. The creature was following him, staying just out of sight. Minho should have been terrified. Instead, he found himself curious. On the 5th day, he saw it again. The Gorath emerged from the jungle near the stream where Minho was filling his water containers. This time, he did not run. He stood still, watching as the massive creature approached the water on the opposite bank. In daylight, he could see it more clearly. The beast was magnificent. Its armored hide shifted colors slightly, blues and purples flowing across its body. The bony plates were not just armor, but seemed to serve other purposes. The bioluminescent patterns pulsing in a rhythm like a heartbeat. Its 4 legs moved with surprising grace for something so large. Then Minho noticed something that changed everything. The Gorath was limping. Its right rear leg did not move properly. As it drank from the stream, Minho saw the wound. A large gash in the creature's hide, infected and oozing. The edges looked burned, and he recognized the pattern. Energy weapon damage. Coalition military grade. The research station had been armed. They had shot the Gorath, probably trying to capture or kill it. They had failed, but they had hurt it. The creature finished drinking and looked at Minho across the water. Their eyes met. Minho saw pain in those intelligent eyes. He made a decision that he knew was completely insane. "I can help you," he said quietly. The Gorath's ears, small and hidden among the armor plates, twitched. Minho slowly opened his pack and took out the medical supplies Hyejin had given him. He held them up so the creature could see. Then he did something that every instinct screamed against. He stepped into the stream, moving toward the Gorath. "Easy," he said softly, using the same tone his grandfather had used with their dogs back on Earth. "I know you're hurt. Let me help." The Gorath watched him approach. It could kill him with one swipe of its massive claws. Minho kept moving forward slowly, talking in a calm voice. "That's it. I'm not going to hurt you. I know you're in pain. Infections are bad, trust me. Had one once on my leg, felt terrible. Let me take a look." He reached the bank where the Gorath stood. Up close, the creature was even more massive, towering over him like a building. Minho knelt beside the injured leg, his hands trembling. "This is going to sting," he said, opening the antiseptic. "But it will help." The Gorath growled, a sound that vibrated through Minho's chest. But it did not move away. Slowly, carefully, Minho cleaned the wound. The creature flinched but stayed still. He applied antibiotic cream, then wrapped it with bandages torn from his spare clothes. "There," Minho said, sitting back. "You should feel better in a few days. Keep it clean, okay?" The Gorath looked at its bandaged leg, then at Minho. Something passed between them in that moment. A connection that Minho did not fully understand but could feel in his bones. The creature turned and walked back into the jungle. Minho returned to his shelter, his heart racing, hardly believing what he had just done. The next morning he found a dead animal outside his shelter. It was something like a deer, but with 6 legs and horns. It had been killed cleanly and left for him. A gift. From that day on, the Gorath stopped hiding. It would appear near Minho's camp, watching him work. Sometimes it brought food. Other times it just lay nearby, a massive presence that somehow made Minho feel safer rather than afraid. Minho started talking to it. He told the creature stories about Earth, about humans and how they had befriended wolves thousands of years ago. He talked about his life, his loneliness on the stellar harmony, his frustration with aliens who saw him as lesser. "You understand that, don't you?" Minho said one evening as the Gorath rested near his fire. "Being treated like a monster when you're not. They fear you because you're powerful. They fear me because I'm different." The Gorath's eyes reflected the firelight. Minho got the strange feeling it understood every word. He changed the creature's bandages daily. The wound was healing well. The Gorath never complained, never tried to hurt him. It accepted his care with patience that seemed almost grateful. On the 10th day, Minho did something crazy. He reached out and touched the Gorath's side. The armor was warm and smooth like polished stone. The creature made a sound, deep and rumbling, almost like a cat's purr, but loud enough to shake the ground. "I'm going to call you Bada," Minho said. "It means ocean in Korean." "Because of your blue lights," Bada rumbled again, and Minho smiled. He began teaching Bada simple commands. "Sit, stay, come." The creature learned quickly, too quickly. This was not just an animal. Bada was intelligent, maybe as smart as Minho himself. One day, while exploring, Minho found caves in the hills. Inside, he discovered something that confirmed his suspicions. The walls were covered in paintings. Images of Gorath figures standing upright holding tools, building things. This was not the art of animals. This was civilization. "Your people were like us once," Minho whispered, touching the ancient paintings. "What happened to you?" Bada stood beside him in the cave, looking at the paintings. The creature's expression, if Minho was reading it correctly, looked sad. That night, Minho worked on the broken communicator by firelight. He had been trying to fix it since he arrived, but the damage was severe. Finally, after hours of work, he got it to send a weak signal. It would not last long, but it might be enough. He sent a simple message. "Minho alive, ready for pickup." Then he sat back and looked at Bada, who lay nearby. "They're coming," Minho said quietly, "and when they see you, they're going to be very, very surprised." Bada rumbled as if agreeing, and the blue lights on its armor pulsed brighter in the darkness. The expendable human Minho wiped the grease from his hands as he finished repairing the cooling system in the engine room. The stellar harmony hummed around him, a massive ship filled with aliens from dozens of different worlds. He was the only human engineer on board, and most days that felt like a curse. "Human, report to the bridge immediately." The voice crackled through his communicator. It was Commander Tavik, the reptilian Velcros who ran the ship. His tone was always cold when speaking to Minho. Minho climbed through the narrow corridors toward the bridge. Other crew members moved aside as he passed, their various eyes watching him with something between curiosity and disgust. He had been on this ship for 6 months, and still most aliens treated him like he carried a disease. The bridge doors opened with a soft hiss. Commander Tavik stood at the center, his scales gleaming under the blue lights. His long tail swished back and forth. A sign Minho had learned meant the commander was planning something. Around him stood the senior officers, including Science Officer Nim, an insect-like creature with multiple arms and compound eyes that seemed to judge everything they saw. "You called for me, Commander?" Minho asked, keeping his voice steady. "Yes." Tavik's mouth curved into what might have been a smile, showing rows of sharp teeth. "We have received a distress signal from the planet below. Krev 9, a research station, has gone silent." Minho glanced at the view screen. The planet looked beautiful from space, covered in green and blue, with white clouds swirling across its surface. But he had heard stories about Krev 9, everyone in the galaxy had. "That's a death world," Minho said carefully. "Class X classification. Nobody goes there." "Precisely," Nim clicked, her mandibles moving rapidly. "Which is why we need someone expendable for the rescue mission." The word hung in the air like poison. Expendable. "We cannot risk valuable crew members," Tavik continued, his yellow eyes fixed on Minho. "But you, human, are suited for this task. Your species claims to come from a dangerous world. This should be easy for you." Minho's stomach twisted. He knew what this was. Earth was classified as a death world too, but it was nothing compared to Krev 9. The planet below was home to the Gorath, a creature so deadly that entire military units had been wiped out trying to study it. Nobody who went looking for a Gorath ever came back. "Commander, this is murder," a voice said from the medical station. Hijin, the only other human on the ship, stepped forward. She was the medical officer, and she had been Minho's only friend since he arrived. "You cannot send him down there alone." I can and I will, Tavik said, his voice sharp. The decision is made. Minho will take a shuttle to the surface, locate any survivors, and return. Simple. There are no survivors, Minho said quietly. You know that. Nothing survives the Gorath. Then your mission is to recover data from the station, Tavik replied smoothly. Unless you refuse a direct order? Minho looked around the bridge. Every alien face showed the same expression. They wanted him gone. Some looked away, ashamed. Others, like Nim, seemed pleased. He understood now. This was not about a rescue mission. This was about getting rid of him. I'll do it, Minho said. Hyejin grabbed his arm. Minho, no. It's fine, he said softly, meeting her eyes. She looked terrified for him. I'll be careful. You have 2 hours to prepare, Tavik said, turning away as if Minho had already stopped existing. Dismissed. In the shuttle bay, Minho gathered his equipment. The shuttle they gave him was old, barely functional. The communicator flickered when he tested it. The weapons were low on charge. Even the medical supplies were minimal. They were not trying to help him succeed. They wanted him to fail. Hyejin found him as he was loading the shuttle. She pressed a small case into his hands. Extra medical supplies, she whispered. Antibiotics, painkillers, everything I could sneak out. Minho, you don't have to do this. We can report them to Coalition Command. By the time anyone listens, I'll already be dead, Minho said. He managed a weak smile. Besides, maybe I'll surprise them. Humans don't survive Krev 9, Hyejin said, tears forming in her eyes. Nothing does. Then I'll be the first. He hugged her quickly. Thank you for being my friend. She watched as he climbed into the shuttle. The doors sealed with a hiss that sounded like a coffin closing. The descent to Krev 9 was rough. The shuttle shook and rattled, warning lights flashing across the control panel. Minho gripped the controls, fighting to keep the craft steady as it dropped through the thick atmosphere. Rain hammered against the hull and lightning cracked across purple clouds. He crashed more than landed. The shuttle hit the ground hard, throwing him against the straps. Alarms blared. Smoke filled the cabin. Minho grabbed his pack and stumbled out into the jungle. The heat hit him like a wall. The air was thick and wet, hard to breathe. Strange plants towered overhead, their leaves as big as tables. Things moved in the shadows. Creatures he could not see but could definitely hear. Growls. Clicks. Hisses. The jungle was alive, and all of it sounded hungry. The research station was 3 kilometers away according to his broken scanner. Minho started walking, every sense on high alert. He had grown up hearing stories about Earth before humans tamed it. Back when lions and bears and wolves hunted his ancestors. Those instincts, buried deep in human DNA, woke up now. Every shadow could be death. Every sound could be his last warning. It took him 4 hours to reach the station. What he found made his blood run cold. The building was destroyed. Walls torn open like paper. Metal twisted like it was made of clay. Blood stained the ground, but there were no bodies. Just pieces. Just evidence of violence so extreme that nothing could have survived it. Claw marks scored the metal, each gouge as deep as his arm. Minho knelt beside one, measuring it with his hand. The creature that made this mark had claws the size of knives and strength beyond imagination. The Gorath had been here. As if thinking its name had summoned it, Minho felt the jungle go quiet. The constant noise of alien birds and insects stopped. Silence fell like a blanket, smothering everything. Something was watching him. Minho turned slowly, his heart pounding so hard it hurt. At first he saw nothing. Then his eyes adjusted and he saw it in the shadows between the trees. The Gorath was massive. 4 tons of muscle and armor, standing on 4 legs thick as tree trunks. Its hide was covered in bony plates that glowed with soft blue light, patterns swirling across its body like living tattoos. The head was enormous, with jaws that could swallow him whole and eyes that gleamed with intelligence. It was the most terrifying thing Minho had ever seen. It was also the most beautiful. The Gorath stepped forward, and Minho knew his life was measured in seconds. The aliens had sent him here to die, and they had succeeded. There was nowhere to run, nothing he could do. The beast opened its mouth, and Minho closed his eyes. He waited for death to come. Truth and consequences. For a moment, nobody moved. Commander Tavik stood in the doorway, his scales turning dark red with rage. Behind him, Rask and 2 other security officers raised their weapons. Inside the room, Minho held the data chip, his heart pounding. and between them Bada. The Gorath's blue lights flared bright, and a growl rumbled from deep in his chest. The sound vibrated through the walls, primal and terrifying. Bada's body tensed, ready to attack. "Stand down, human," Tavik said, his voice cold. "You are under arrest for breaking into a commander's quarters. Surrender now, or we will use lethal force." "On me or on Bada?" Minho asked, his mind racing. "Because if you shoot at either of us, I can't promise what happens next." Rask aimed his plasma rifle at the Gorath. "That creature is not protected by Coalition law. I can kill it right now." "Try," Minho said quietly, "and see if you're fast enough." The tension in the room was explosive. One wrong move and people would die. Minho's hand tightened on the data chip. Everything they needed was on this tiny piece of technology. Proof of the conspiracy. Proof of the murders. If he could just get it to Hyejin or Daehyun. "What did you find?" Tavik asked, his eyes fixed on the chip in Minho's hand. "What did you take from my files?" "Everything," Minho said. "Your plans to kill human crew members. The weapons testing on Krev 9. The conspiracy that goes all the way up to Velcros High Command. I have it all." Tavik's expression did not change, but his tail lashed violently. "You have nothing. That data is encrypted, and even if you could read it, who would you show it to? Who would believe a low-level human engineer over a decorated commander?" "Coalition Central Command would," a voice said from behind the security officers. Everyone turned. Hyejin stood in the corridor, holding a communicator. Her face was pale but determined. "I just transmitted everything to Coalition Central Command. Copies to 3 different departments. They have all the files now." "What?" Tavik's voice rose to a shriek. "How did you—" "Minho's data chip has a transmitter," Hyejin said. "We planned for this. Every file he downloaded was automatically sent to my medical computer. I just forwarded them to people who will actually do something about it." She looked at the security officers. "You might want to rethink where your loyalty lies. In about 10 minutes, investigators are going to be very interested in this ship." Rask lowered his weapon slightly, looking confused. The other security officers exchanged glances. They were soldiers, not conspirators. Most of them had no idea what their commander had been doing. Tavik made a sound like a hiss mixed with a scream. He drew his personal weapon, a small but deadly energy pistol, and aimed it at Minho. "If I'm going down, you're coming with me, human." Bada moved. The Gorath was impossibly fast for something so large. It lunged forward, placing its massive armored body between Minho and the weapon. Tavik fired, and the energy bolt hit Bada's shoulder plate. The armor absorbed most of the impact, but the creature roared in pain and anger. The roar was deafening. It echoed through the ship, a sound of pure rage that made every person in the corridor freeze in primal fear. Bada's blue lights flared brilliant white, and the creature's jaws opened, showing teeth like swords. "Bada, no," Minho shouted. "Don't kill him." The Gorath stopped, trembling with the effort of controlling itself. Blood dripped from where Tavik's shot had burned through a gap in the armor. Bada wanted to attack. Every instinct the creature had screamed to destroy the threat. But it obeyed Minho's command. Slowly, Bada backed up, positioning itself protectively in front of Minho but not attacking. Rask grabbed Tavik's arm, forcing the weapon down. "Commander, stop! Coalition investigators are already on their way. If you kill him now, there's no defense. We're done. We were done the moment that human survived Krev 9, Tavik spat. But he lowered his weapon, his yellow eyes fixed on Minho with pure hatred. "You have no idea what you've done. Humans are dangerous. You prove it every day. Today you just declared war on the Velcros Empire." "No," Minho said, stepping around Bada. "Today I exposed murderers. There's a difference." Over the next hours, chaos consumed the stellar harmony. Coalition investigators arrived via emergency transport, armed and ready for resistance. They arrested Commander Tavik, Rask, and 3 other senior officers involved in the conspiracy. The crew gathered in the main assembly hall, watching in shock as their commander was led away in restraints. Minho stood with Hyejin, Jiwon, and Daehyun, exhausted but relieved. "Is it really over?" Jiwon asked quietly. "The immediate danger is," Hyejin said. "But this is bigger than one ship." The investigators found evidence of similar conspiracies on 17 other coalition vessels. "This is going to shake the entire government." A Velcros investigator approached them. Unlike Tavik, this one had kind eyes and no hostility in his posture. His name was Varric, and he wore the insignia of Coalition Internal Affairs. "Minho?" Varric asked. "Yes, sir." "I want to thank you for your courage. What you uncovered today will save lives. Human lives, yes, but also lives of other species who were being targeted by this radical faction. He paused. I also want to apologize. Not all Velcros support what Tavik and his people did. Most of us believe in the Coalition's founding principles: unity, diversity, cooperation. I know, Minho said. This isn't about Velcros versus humans. It's about right versus wrong. Varric nodded approvingly. Then he looked at Bada, who sat nearby, his wound already bandaged by Hyejin. And this is the Gorath everyone is talking about? His name is Bada, Minho said. He saved my life today, again. Remarkable. Varric stepped closer slowly, respecting the creature's space. We've had reports from Krev 9, the weapons testing, the attacks on the Gorath population. That program has been shut down. Coalition scientists want to make peaceful contact with the Gorath, to apologize for what was done. They'll need to be patient, Minho said. The Gorath have no reason to trust us, but maybe with time we can fix what was broken. Perhaps you could help with that, Varric said. Coalition Central Command wants to speak with you. They're very interested in your unique skills. 3 days later, Minho stood in a virtual conference room, facing the holographic images of 5 Coalition Central Command officials. They represented the 5 major species groups in the Coalition, and all of them looked at him with expressions ranging from curiosity to respect. Admiral Suyin, a human with gray hair and sharp eyes, spoke first. Minho, your actions have exposed a rot at the heart of our military structure. We're grateful, but we're also concerned. The conspiracy you uncovered has supporters throughout the Coalition. There will be pushback. I understand, Admiral, Minho said. We're offering you a position, said Ambassador Kyung, a human diplomat, head of a new program, Interspecies Relations and Integration. Your job would be to help different species understand each other better, to prevent this kind of hatred from taking root, and to study your bond with the Gorath, added a Chithi official. What you accomplished should be impossible. We want to understand how you did it, and whether it can be replicated with other Death World species. Minho considered this. It was a huge responsibility, but it was also a chance to make real change to prevent other humans from facing what he had faced. I'll do it, Minho said, on 3 conditions. The officials exchanged glances. Admiral Suyin smiled slightly. Name them. First, Bada is recognized as a sentient being with full Coalition rights. Not a pet, not a specimen. A person. Agreed, Ambassador Kyung said immediately. Second, Hyejin, Jiwon, and Daehyun come with me. They risked everything to help uncover the truth. They deserve to be part of this. Also agreed, Admiral Suyin said. Third, Minho continued, this program has to include humans in leadership positions throughout Coalition military and civilian structures. Real positions with real power, not just token representation. If we're going to prevent another conspiracy like this, humans need to be equals, not second-class citizens. The officials were quiet for a moment. Then the Chithi official clicked her mandibles in what Minho had learned was their version of a laugh. You negotiate like a human, bold, demanding, unafraid. She leaned forward. We accept your terms. All of them. Admiral Suyin stood. Welcome to Central Command, Minho. You've got a lot of work ahead of you. The conference ended and Minho found himself alone in the room. He felt the weight of what he had just agreed to. It was overwhelming. A warm presence pressed against his side. Bada had entered quietly, somehow knowing Minho needed comfort. The Gorath rumbled softly and Minho wrapped his arms around the creature's massive neck. We did it, he whispered. We actually did it. Bada's blue lights pulsed gently and Minho felt the bond between them stronger than words. This creature, this being from a death world, had chosen to trust a human, and that trust had changed everything. Hyejin found them a few minutes later. So, what did they say? Minho grinned. They said yes, all of it. Bada's a citizen. We're all getting new jobs, and humans are getting real power in the Coalition. Hyejin laughed, then hugged him tightly. You know the entire galaxy is going to be talking about you, right? The human who tamed a Gorath and exposed a conspiracy in the same month? Let them talk, Minho said. Maybe it's time the galaxy learned what humans can really do. That night, as the Stellar Harmony prepared to dock at Coalition Central Station, Minho stood at the OB,